Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Myriacast part of this Myriathon Home Marathon. I am Otto, and you saw me earlier. Actually, if you were here earlier today, I was playing Pokemon Rando. I did shave. I feel like this is a better look for me currently. The beard was getting a little out of control, so this was the right time. And with me is my co-host Spoon. You saw him flailing his arms around, playing some rhythm games. Spoon, hello.
Yeah, if you were around for the past few hours, we were playing rhythm games, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm catching my breath. It's a little warm, it being a summer day in California,
Yep.
but we're doing all right.
Yeah,
Glad to be here as usual.
Yeah, we're doing great today. I just wanted to actually, instead of doing a normal intro, usually we go through all the socials and stuff. Let's skip that today. Let's just sort of review what we've done already, and let's talk about some of the things that are upcoming. So, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the schedule, and we're going to do something a little bit new here, Spoon, for this one because it's Myriathon Home. We're going to look at this schedule together, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we're excited about. And maybe give some of our current viewers some insight on some of our favorites from this upcoming schedule because we are going all week this week. And I think we are done Sunday evening is what I'm seeing as the end time. So let's start with you here. You've got the schedule open, I assume, correct?
I do.
Okay, let's take a look at this together. Spoon, pick a couple of these that you're looking forward to. Um, besides your own, let's just skip your own. We're no
Besides
bias,
my
no bias
besides
here.
my own,
Yeah, no bias here.
um, AMQ tomorrow night is gonna
Hmm.
be a lot of fun. I think.
Okay.
If we can get as many people in there as we can, it's not we're not being exclusive. You don't have to be part of the Myriathon to join in. If you're maybe even like some viewers while we're playing will want to join in, and I think we'll probably be able to accommodate that. So
I,
yeah,
I might even join in, and I'm not a weeb either, so that's
I mean,
crazy that I'm thinking about joining. Spoon's holding back. He's a nice person. Any others on this list?
um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for some of my own stuff, obviously, but
Hmm.
I won't go into that. KH2 randomizer is a big thing right now. Dash is going to be doing that Wednesday night. That'll be fun.
Okay.
We're going to get a little bit of Walden's with some Hollow Knight on Thursday. Abandon's been looking to show off James Pond. He's been memeing that, talking that game up and saying it's a big meme. So that'll be on Saturday. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff. We got a lot of variety. So I'm
Yeah, this
looking
is.
forward to the whole week.
There's a lot of stuff here to look at. So for me in particular, after this, I'm going to highlight. It is a slight bias on my part, but I am not going to be participating, so I think I'm allowed to say it on this one. After the Myriacast, we're going to do and see some of my I call them my barbaric kids, but this is the full auto group. They're going to be playing Rainbow Six Siege. If you haven't watched this game at all, it's a highly strategic FPS game. It's it's interesting to watch at the very least. I would give it a shot. Check it out right after this. It's going to be I think it's going to be really fun, and these are all really fun and interesting people. I think this is going to be a great one. Just looking at the list as well, I think the KH randomizer is going to be really fun as well. That's an exciting new thing and I've watched Dodge play it, and it's a good one. I'm looking forward to E8 Lacrimosa of. I keep saying Donna. I
It
hope
is
I'm right.
Donna.
It's Donna.
Yeah, Isate
I've
Lacrimosa of Donna.
I've played this game. If you are somebody that is a fan of JRPGs, this is one that's got and it's the combat. It's a open environment style of combat. It's not turn based. It's that it feels more like that action RPG style. It's a very fun game. I love
Yeah,
this game a lot. Very few complaints with this one, and
very fast paced, very action
yeah,
oriented, and banger music.
great music. We played some of it.
Just
Great
bangers.
music, really great music. I can't recommend this one enough. Ghost recommended it to me. Thank you for that. I'm trying to look at the last ones here, and I think oh, there's uh, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I assume that's the race, right? Um,
Yeah, it's a race. I think it's gonna be. I don't. I think it's some meme category like no menu or no commands or something like
Something like that.
some nonsense meme category, and that'll be fun. So
I'm interested in that one
Ven,
as
yeah,
well.
okay, yeah, Abandon's got us. Ven, no menu.
Vendo
So
menu.
yeah,
Okay, I'm excited for those. There's so much more in here. Please look at this schedule. Even if you're interested in any of this stuff, go support the people playing all these different titles. And this is going to be a really fun week. I think we've already had a lot of fun. The Pokemon randomizer I talked about earlier went splendid amongst the people that have asked me about it. And Spoon, I love Fantasia, so I love seeing someone try it out, and I'm so happy I spent money for that. That is my meme game
it's
of choice.
such a bad song. It's so bad. It's just like lawnmowers and like
It's so bad.
It's such a
It's
bad
horrible.
song.
It's a horrible
Holy
song.
moly.
I'd like to know
Ugh.
who greenlit that and said, "Yeah, let's add this one. This is a banger. We have to add this." Just I think that person got fired immediately. It's like, "Okay, yeah, that was a horrible idea." So, oh yeah, we have topics, don't we? So, today last week I should say, let's recap last week. We have a recap episode here. And I feel next time we do this and we do a recap, we need like the recap episode music. We need to have like recap episode music. But last time we talked about BioWare games, specifically Mass Effect. We focused heavily on Mass Effect, and we talked about Anthem. So actually, what we did talk about was we talked about Mass Effect and a garbage can. So we focused on those two, and then at the very end, we talked about Visceral Studios' Dead Space title. We talked about that. It's a horror game, a third-person shooter horror game. Today, though, we're going to be talking about the rest of the BioWare, some of their titles. One of which we didn't touch on, which I'm a personal huge fan of, is the Dragon Age series. And then after that, we're going to talk about Bethesda as a whole. And I'm excited about this one because I have so many things I want to say about
Also
Bethesda.
topical because Aaron is playing Skyrim tomorrow.
Very
So
topical. Very topical
there you go.
because
We
Aaron's
we
playing
tried
Skyrim.
to find something that we were like playing in the marathon and that was topical towards the marathon. So
Right.
Bethesda's the only thing we could come. All our other topics, like we talked about Kingdom Hearts already. We've talked about Pokemon already.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about a lot of the stuff that
Yeah,
we
we
have
have.
in the marathon already. So
We really have.
yeah,
So I think this was a perfect topic, and I'm a fan of Bethesda games, and I have a lot of good positive thoughts, and I also have a lot of really fun moments and bad thoughts about it. So we're gonna dive in, and I don't think we're gonna hold back when we get to 76. I don't think
also
there's any punches being held back on that.
also, I'm not going to spoil it. We were hoping to have a special guest this week, but it kind of fell through. I'm getting some updates on that, and we may have the special guest we were supposed to have this week. Hopefully, will be able to join us next week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Um, it'll be a big surprise. I'm not going to spoil it for
Don't do
anyone,
it. Don't do it.
but look forward to that.
Don't spoil it. It's a good one. I've gotten some updates on that as well. It's really exciting. I think this guest is going to be really fun for all of us when hopefully we can get this person next week, but we'll see. Okay, so I want to start with saying again, I'm a big Dragon Age fan. I talked about this last week. I didn't tweet this. I've got a signed copy right here. Can you see it? This is signed by the founders of BioWare. This right here. That's their signatures right there. I'm a fanboy of this and of Mass Effect. I have the Mass Effect ones too. I don't know if this is valuable at all, but this is to me this is priceless. There's no price you can put on this one. Um, so this is a series with three main titles to my knowledge. Dragon Age Origins. There's a second one in there. Who knows what it's called? Who cares though? And Dragon Age Inquisition. So Spoon, I think you played a little bit of Origins, right? Or you tried it?
Yeah, I've
Try.
played.
You played it. Okay.
I've I have started and not completed Dragon Age Origins like 3 or 4 times
Right.
with varying success. A few
Right.
times I didn't get very far at all, and a few times I got probably at least halfway through the game. I got through at least a couple of the arcs of the story,
Sure.
I should say. but I've seen you play it countless times.
Yeah,
So
you get the picture. You get the picture of what's about, and then you also played Inquisition.
yep,
It,
and I did play a touch of the one you're not talking about, which is actually called Dragon Age 2, just so
oh
you know.
really? Oh my gosh, really? I thought it was Dragon Age Dumpster Fire. That's my mistake. Sorry about that. I guess there was a second one. Who knew? Um, so Dragon Age Origins it's a fantasy. It's got that. I don't want to say medieval style though, but it is. This is like a Dungeons and Dragons style game.
It's
If
high
you
it's high fan it's high fantasy.
high fantasy, thank you. And this is just like I said. It looks like a Dungeons and Dragons game. It really does. It's got the same. It's got that same theme. So when you even when at the beginning of the game, this is one of the most. This is one of my favorite starts to a game. For just general Bioware, but just of any game I've ever done. There's like at least 6 different starts you can do, and it's all based on race or class. So if you choose a mage class, for example, you're automatically slotted into the mage start. It's like an hour long starting point that begins your character within the sequence of the game. Okay, so there's like 6 of these different starting points. There's one for mage. There's like 2 dwarf routes. There's 2 elven routes, and then there's a human route within with that. So there's a lot of different starting points. It kind of makes it interesting and unique, and that's why I like replaying it is because I like seeing the different starts. And some of them are a little bit more lighthearted, but generally speaking, they're all dark. They're all dark. Something really bad occurs and forces you out of the situation you're in when you start. So I think that's the premise when you start the game, and I'm not going to go into spoilers yet. We'll say when we're going to spoilers. I'll put the spoilers text up. The This game also has I I think this is a very unique combat style. I don't I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but it's unique in that when you when you engage an attack, it happens no matter what. You can't run away from the target to make them miss. As soon as they start their attack, it's happening whether you like it or not. You can't just run away. This is not an action style game.
There's really no avoiding stuff in this.
Right.
It's an MMO style.
Hmm.
It reminds me a lot like World of Warcraft or something like that, or
Sure.
Xenoblade One if you've played that game, or the definitive edition that came out recently. Similar, at least in that aspect, a similar combat
Hmm.
system.
And like I said, it's good. I've heard some people say they don't like it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. I think it's the main focus of this game is definitely not that kind of combat stuff. I mean, it's important to the game. Like you're trying to get your party optimized and everything, but that's not really like this game isn't about just the singular combat aspects. There's This game to me is about your interactions with various different factions and party members. So um, that's I think the general outset of the game and like some of the mechanics around it. How much further do I want to go without spoiling anything? Because like you start spoiling stuff right away. That's the problem with this game is there's a lot of spoilers immediately. Um, oh yeah, you also get control of all your party members, and then there's like this dialogue wheel that comes. There's a wheel that comes up. This is like a
There,
Bioware thing.
no
Um,
dialogue wheel in DAO.
no, not a dialogue. There's like a combat wheel. So Mass
Oh
Effect
yeah,
has
the
this
combat
wheel.
wheel.
Yeah, it's like the
Right.
pop-up wheel.
I
Yeah, sorry
got you.
about that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
there's no
you're good.
dialogue wheel. There's just like you get dialogue options. And by comparison to what we talked about last week with Mass Effect, the options in your dialogue are quite dark. You obviously get the lighthearted ones, and you get the we'll call it lawful good, but you also get like some really bad ones. The one I can think of off the top of my head, I think this is going to spoil, but I don't think it's too bad. There's a decision where you make where you're trying to like free some elven slaves, and the big boss, he when you fell him says, "Oh, I'll tell you what, if you let me live, I'll kill all these slaves and give you like 20 extra hit points." That's what it comes down to. He gives you like a boost of 20 hit points, which to be honest isn't that much. It's really not a big deal, but that's just kind of like the dark things you can do. Is you're supposed to be freeing these people, and he's just like, "No, I'll give you like 20 hit points if you let me live, and I'll kill all these people in here to do it." So this is the kind of game you'd be playing if you're if you actually were interested in getting into it. It's an old game, but it's on Steam and I guess Origin now because of EA. So anyway, that's the stuff I wanted to touch on with this. Is there anything else that we should bring up, Spoon, before I start putting like any other spoilers up, or do we even want to like mention Dragon Age Inquisition stuff before we go into spoilers? We'll
Now let's just stick with
let's
Dragon
just
Age
stick it.
1,
So then
Dragon
let's
Age
put the spoilers up.
Origins for now. The other thing I want to say is
Go ahead.
Otto does not have the donation tracker up on the layout for the stream, which
I can get
doesn't
it up.
matter
I can get it
really.
up
And he
here.
can get it there if you want it there. But remember, you still can donate to the cause that we are supporting this week, since this is part of the Myriathon. I know we do the Myriacast every week, but this is during the Myriathon. We're supporting the cause. So if you want to donate during the Myriacast, please feel free. We're not
Look
going
at
to
that.
interrupt what we're saying to read a donation, but we'll find a place to
Look at
to
that.
read it.
And there it
There it
is. It's
is,
here.
and there it is.
Wow. It's magic. So I'm gonna put spoilers up as well. Just gonna move the spoilers thing up here. Okay, so there's a spoilers thing. I'm getting into some spoilers. I know I've played this game a lot, so I know a bit more about this, just generally speaking, than Spoon. But Spoon's played enough where he and seen enough where he knows what's up. So like immediately you are asked to be a Grey Warden because through your backstory you get exiled from a bunch of different factions, and you then are tasked to be a Grey Warden by someone. I actually don't know the person's name. Duncan, I believe it's Duncan. So Duncan asks you to. Oh, sorry about that. So Duncan asks you to be a Grey Warden, and you accept. And this isn't a spoiler. This actually isn't a spoiler. I'm getting to spoilers, and you inevitably are. You go to this like a ruined fort, and you meet the king, and you also meet his main general. No, it's like Taryn or something like that. I gotta look it up. But the general, what ends up happening is you meet some party, you meet your some of your party members there. You actually meet your first party member, depending on your backstory. You meet your first party member, which is a dog, and you also are trying to recover a bunch of Grey Warden documents. So you do that, and the big thing that happens after all this is you meet another party member, but also the Dark Spawn, which is the evil race in this. The Dark Spawn are back, and they've been brought about because of this dragon called the Archdemon. So the Dark Spawn attack this fort, and the general betrays the king, allows the king to die, doesn't reinforce the army, and leaves with his troops, and you're stuck and left for dead at the battlefield. And this is like this is a big point in the beginning of the game. Is the general's betrayal is what sets up a lot of the actions you take as a party. And so your goal actually for most of this game is to, number one, build allies from various different races and factions. So dwarves, elves, other humans. There's two different human factions you'll talk to, I believe. And you're trying to build your armies again, and then you're going to re-challenge this general and prove to the masses that he was a betrayer of the king, and he is a bad man. Because he's currently, the narrative is you are the bad one, and all the Grey Wardens are apparently evil. The Grey Wardens are the ones that were the betrayers. So this is the
That's
setup for the
right.
whole game.
I forgot. I'm like, man, why would if he's staging a coup and killing the king, why would his troops follow him? It's like no, because he sets up the Grey
He sets it
Wardens,
up.
and he's like, no, they're the bad guys, and I'm the one who's the good guy, and they
Right.
all follow him.
It's I mean it's a solid start, and it gives you it motivates you. You're like, okay, you got the Darkspawn threat, but you've also got this guy. He's he's just like, I don't think he's actually a really bad person though. Like he does make this dumb move and everything, but for whatever reason, his thought process is no. My strategy, the king was going to die there. We were going to lose. Me pulling the troops out gave us time to recoup, and I'm the best. I'm the best leader actually to lead us against the Darkspawn. That's his thought process.
Well, he's a little power hungry,
He's
that's for
power hungry
sure.
for sure. No, he definitely is. He's definitely power hungry. It should also be worth noting that the king was married to this general's daughter. Okay, so the queen is actually in charge, but the father, the general, is controlling everything through his daughter. So there's like a couple things. I'm not going to go through the whole story of the game. I don't want to like. I think going through the whole story and everything else won't be as interesting and exciting. But I do want to highlight a couple things. So Spoon, do you remember the dwarf mission? There's like a dwarven mission. It's like from. Do you remember this at all?
Vaguely, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, again, I've seen you play. I never finished the dwarf mission in any of my playthroughs. I think that's where I got hung up a
Yep.
couple of times.
Because it's by far the longest, and I think the worst. Generally speaking, it's too long. But if you get to this, and if you get to this particular mission, this is also one of the more grotesque missions. So I just want to. The reason why I'm talking about some parts of this game is because that this game it definitely has like some really good dark themes. One of the main things that happens is uh, the Paragon. I don't remember her name. Let's just call her Bianca. Paragon Bianca it is leads a group of her own forces, and Paragons are highly looked up to in the dwarven race. So whenever there's a Paragon, it's like they're the top. You look up to them. Everybody does, and their word carries a lot of weight. So the Paragon asks a bunch of her followers and her cast to follow her into the depths of the Darkspawn tunnels, the Dwarven tunnels, which are just like I said, they're infested with Darkspawn. And all she's looking for is the previous Paragon's hammer, because the previous Paragon's hammer makes golems. Okay, but she leaves some of her cast for dead, and several of her cast become brood mothers. One of the bosses is a brood mother. It's just like a grotesque monstrosity that makes darkspawn, and it's really messed up because they're like the way that they become brood mothers is they forcibly make these other dwarves eat flesh, eat different types of flesh. So there's a lot of dark themes with this game. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but a lot of good dark themes. It definitely gets you, you know, you question a lot of things with different characters, like with Paragon, with this Paragon Bianca. You're like, okay, this Paragon Bianca is leaving her people back, and they're forcibly turned into these monsters, these horrible monsters. It's pretty bad. So that's like one of the other things. I don't remember. Was there anything else you remember, Spoon, from watching me? Were there any others like Bronca? Thank you. Yeah, Paragon Bronca. I was close. So was there anything else that I you remember, Spoon?
With the dwarf mission specifically,
Any
or
other
just
missions or like moments that we can like
I,
touch on before we talk about other stuff with it?
I mean, I think the game. I just want to talk about the general structure
The,
of the game.
talk about that.
So after you get through the intro sequence with your origin story, and then you become part of the Grey Wardens, and there's the betrayal. That whole scene. That's like that those two parts of the introduction to the game.
Yep.
And then, as Otto said, you have to start building your army
Yeah.
against this evil general who has taken over.
Yep.
And the way you do that is you have to go to these different sections of the world, one and then there's one for each faction,
Yeah.
basically. There's the dwarves, there's, as Otto said, there's the elves, there's
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
mages tower,
Yeah.
and then there's a couple of different human ones, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. There are. There's like two different human ones.
And in typical BioWare fashion, by the time you get throughout these missions and by the time you get to the end of them, you have to make a couple of big choices
Yeah.
on who within the faction you support, basically. So
Yep.
when you get to the end of the dwarf mission, it's either like the dwarves or you side with the golems or
Yes.
something. Is that
So
right?
you side with
Yeah.
Bronca or the Golem. I forgot his name. It's too bad because he's a cool
Shale?
Golem. No, Shale's a different Golem.
That's the party member,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a DLC party member. But you're right. Actually, every single one, there's like this choice. You can actually choose two different factions. And
And then based on your choice, that's the faction that will support you when you go to the final battle
yep,
against the bad guy
yeah, Big Dragon.
and well, yeah, the general and then the archdemon.
Yeah,
So the general structure of the game is that way, and there's other choices throughout, in the mage plot line. I think this is actually in one of the human plot lines, but it has to do with mages. There's
sure.
there's some blood, like there's like, oh, blood magic is basically outlawed, and there's some stuff
Yep.
going on with blood magic in
Yep.
one of the lines. I think it's in one of the human ones, isn't it? I don't
If you describe more, I'll know.
I don't remember.
Because the blood magic one, blood magic is a huge thing. Blood magic is completely out. It's frowned upon, and I would say it's outlawed for sure. So blood
Isn't there
magic.
isn't there a child or something who
Yes,
is a blood
yes.
mage
So
or
in
something?
Red
Okay.
Redcliffe,
Yeah, red.
Redcliffe
Yeah.
Village. There you go.
Okay.
And the general's name is Taryn Logain. See, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, there you
Um,
go.
in the Redcliffe Village, you're the Redcliffe Village is being attacked by undead every night, and they need your help, and they're not going to join you unless you do so. And there's like various different things you can actually do with this. If you just bum rush this mission and just get to the end of it, and let's say you're not a mage, you can actually just like you can't actually complete this mission properly. So you'll get to the end of this mission, and they'll have like a dialogue amongst the people involved. Like, okay, well, if we want to save this child, who happens to be the son of the current leader there, the king. I think it's the king. You you have to you have to go get the mages because you're not necessarily a mage. If you are a mage, you can ask a mage that was in prison for doing blood magic to help with unpossessing this child. So there's actually like if you're not a mage, you actually have to you have to do this mission, and then you'll when you figure this out, you'll be like, oh, I can't complete this. I don't have any mages. So you then have to go to the Circle Tower, which is a mage tower, and complete that quest line. And then once you complete that, they'll say, okay, well, yeah, we'll send some mages if you decide to help us. You can also help the Templar there. It's a there's so much stuff. It's crazy. This game is so much like stuff, but this is a good one too. The possession of the child is really messed up because you can actually there's a choice, and I'm glad the spoilers thing is up because I am spoiling it. If you were ever curious, you can choose the child's being possessed by like a demon, but it's a we'll just call it the lust demon, okay? Because she looks pretty provocative here, promiscuous, whatever the term here would be best. There's different options. You can choose to not defeat her and say, you know what, just make me stronger. You can also choose sex is an option. You can choose that, I suppose. Um, it's like that choice, by the way, gives you nothing. There's no reward for that.
I
It's just the
mean,
visual of knowing that your character made love to a lust demon. That's it actually. There's other ones too. You can get like a special power from her, which unlocks like I think a specialization of some type. There's like various different things you can get. And but again, this is like these are the choices that you can make. I've chosen the love option just because it's like, yeah, let's see what happens. And yeah, you get nothing from it other than just, oh yeah, you made love to a demon. So this is the kind of stuff you get from this game. It's not even about the combat and everything else. I draw so much more entertainment from just this kind of stuff. Like you can just do horrible things for nothing.
yeah. No, I would say the combat is actually, in my opinion, one of the weakest parts of the game. I think it's a
It
little
is.
bit It's a little bit clunky. I
It
don't
is.
want to get. I don't remember it all that well, and I don't really want to get into the details. But it's MMO style. You can, but it's in real time. But you can pause time
Yep.
and command your party members to do stuff or do stuff from a menu, basically.
Yep.
But I think this game shines in just the moral choices you have to make throughout the game, and
There's
when
tons of them.
we've given a few examples. This is the top tier BioWare storytelling. This game, along with Mass Effect 1 and 2, in
Yeah.
my opinion, and
Yeah.
I think some people would argue Knights of the Old Republic. It's been so long, I don't remember that game that
Yeah.
well,
Sure.
so I'm,
Um,
I can't speak on it specifically.
this game for me had the best interactions. Mass Effect 2 is really close to me. I want to be clear. Mass Effect 2 character interactions are really good. This game might be slightly better for me. It's just because you could do so many different things that just question everything. Like again, the example of like this guy, if you save him, gives you 20 bonus hit points, but kills all the slaves you're supposed to save. 20 bonus hit points may be good for you. I mean, it's like a if you're just like, yeah, I just want to stack my character to be OP, then you'd pick that. But could you really like live with yourself in the game knowing that you just killed like dozens of slaves to give
Yeah, and
yourself
there
that boost?
and
It's just
tries talking about the companions or the party members in this game. There are a couple of moments in the game as well where if you make a certain choice, one of your party members will turn against
yep.
you, and you'll have to fight them.
Yeah, I've done that. Liliana's the big one. Liliana's the
Yeah,
biggest one. If there's a mission where you uh,
make us
oh
breath.
god, yeah, Liliana in this game is like kind of annoying to be honest at times because during combat she just screams "Make us breath," and you kind of want to just like mute her. But yeah, she'll turn against you if you like mess with the ashes of Andraste, which is like a Andraste is like a god in this game. It's hard to remember the lore of this part of it, but yeah, you can just make her really really mad, and she turns against you and she fights you, and you have to kill her, I guess. So anyway, I like this game a lot. I like the moral choices. I don't know if we need to talk about it much more. I think this is like a really fun game. I would recommend this. It's probably like $5 somewhere if
It's
you want to
nice in
dive
terms
in.
of the open world aspect of it too, because you can choose to go to any of the
Yeah,
missions at any time,
they're,
basically.
the environments aren't pretty from a graphics
No,
perspective,
the game does not look good, to
but
be honest.
the
Character models.
no, not the character models. I was gonna say just like the dungeons and the environments
Oh,
themselves. They're not like just linear. You can really take a
oh
bunch of different paths,
yeah.
and I love some of the stuff you can do with that. So okay, let's. There's like Dragon Age 2, I guess. I don't know. It's bad. Move on. I don't care. It's a bad game. It's not actually that bad, but it's boring. It's not worth it. It's just like okay, which is the problem. It's just not memorable. You you do better just skipping it. It doesn't really do anything to be honest with you. There's like a couple big things that happen, I guess, with like apparently there's like now I forgot the name of it. It's like a red crystal. There's like this thing you can do. A lot of Templars do to gain like they could get mana drunk. They could get mana drunk, and they get addicted to mana. We'll say, and there's a different form of it now, and it's a red mana crystal, and it's even worse. It's not just an addicting thing. It can just turn you into a monster. So that's the big thing there. I just gave you the whole game. You're welcome. You just played the game. Good job.
They decided to implement the dialogue wheel in this game as opposed to
Oh yeah, I forgot about
di-
that.
the dialogue options that they did previously, where it was just a list. Like
Yeah,
you have 5 dialogue options and you just pick one of them, as opposed to
yeah,
the dialogue wheel, which is much more black and white. It's like you
yep,
still kind of have your Paragon, your Paragon and Renegade type options and
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
That's true.
Um,
You're right. Something was
which
something
I'm not
different.
sure was a good thing for this series, to be honest.
Who knows? I think I like this series not having the wheel, but I mean, Bioware is moving towards it. It worked in Mass Effect pretty well. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
That was probably an EA decision. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, that makes sense actually.
I would guess that. I don't know for sure, but that's a guess for me. So by EA's like, yeah, let's just streamline your game so people who play Mass Effect can get into Dragon Age too. So let's just have the dialogue
Yeah,
wheel in the game. That
but
seems like an EA thing to me.
yeah,
But
yeah, it is. Oh, and also the other thing that happened is like the main villain of this game was like Corypheus, and then he comes back in Inquisition, and
oh, real?
I think he's like Corypheus is involved in Dragon Age 2,
Oh, really?
and he's in Inquisition
I didn't
again.
know. I didn't know that at all. He's an awful villain in Inquisition.
Here's a spoiler. He's awful. He's awful. So, not like awful as in he's a bad person. He's just like awful. Like whenever I
Just a
see
bad
Corypheus,
villain.
I instantly just want to turn off the system and be like, nope, I'm done with you. So, okay, let's move on. We've already spoiled Dragon Age 2 for you all. Sorry about that if you cared. Um, let's talk about Inquisition. I don't want to spend too much time on Inquisition because we've already talked about some of the themes and mechanics from Dragon Age. It does have slightly different mechanics for combat. So the combat in this game is, I guess, slightly better. I don't know. It's kind of up to debate on this. It's more action oriented, so your your attacks aren't like the MMO style. You actually do run up and you swing your sword, and it's not the MMO where if you swing, it's got a hit or miss. You actually will just like run up to them, swing, or actually fire at your targets. It is more action based. This is a it was fine for me. I don't know how you feel about it, Spoon, but it was fine.
It's I have not touched that game since it came out, basically, and I
Yeah,
played through it. Um, I remember generally enjoying the combat in this game. It was
yeah.
pretty breakable. There were and not balanced well at all. There were
No, it
certain
wasn't.
really broken classes and certain really terrible classes,
Yeah, they were.
like the warrior or the tank. The tank route, which is the one I played,
Yeah.
got you were unkillable once you got
Oh yeah.
some pretty high level and you had a few certain
Yep.
abilities. You could basically just you you would just keep armoring yourself up, and by the time like your armor ran out, you could armor again. So you basically had
Yeah.
infinite
You
armor
you had
you
infinite
could
armor.
keep
You were unkillable.
using.
It was a it was a, it was kind of a joke. Mages?
And
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
the I know my brother played the backstab rogue, I think, and
Also
he just
broken.
like he just one shotted stuff. It was just like,
Also
okay, the
broken.
fight's over.
Also broken. So yeah. So that class, by the way, from Dragon Age Origins, my best two classes were the mage class, and there's like a couple other things you could do with that, and backstab rogue was really good in Origins. In this one, and I'm skipping Dragon Age 2 again for obvious reasons. In this one, mages are bad, in my opinion. They're bad. They're so bad. They don't even have healing spells. Only one of them has healing spells, and it's part of her like special tree of perks and abilities. And Backstab Rogue though is still really good. Warrior is good, but archers are not good. I have archers are bad. I tried using an archer. It didn't go well. The I'm trying to think of other stuff. Those were the other two. There was like because there was like different warrior classes, but you wanted to go tank warrior. There's
Yeah, there was
there
a
was like
pretty
two handed. There was like two handed, I guess.
yeah, there was a pretty expansive not skill trees in this game for all the classes, and there
Yeah.
were different subclasses, I suppose,
Yes.
that
Sure.
they weren't unlocked from the start, but
You had to unlock them through the
it
game.
had
I think.
you had to unlock them through. I think each of your party members was spec'd into a particular subclass,
Yeah.
and once you got like developed your affinity with them enough, they would teach you that affinity basically, and you could go into that subclass. I
I
think
think.
that's
I
how it
don't
worked.
know. I don't.
That's my
Actually have to find
recollection.
it.
I
No. 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 I remember actually. I remember
Okay, go
this.
ahead.
You actually had to like do quests. You had to do side quests to go
Oh
find these.
yeah.
And by the way, they were not fun. They were not fun. They were a pain to do these side quests because I did all of them, and they're terrible. So it's just it was very frustrating. But you do have. I mean, like growing the affinity with the characters was like it is important. They can it's just like you can open up some different things. So what else do we want to talk about? Oh, we have to talk about this. The romance. We have to talk about this. We have to. We've talked about this so many times. Okay, can you give some background in this, please? I don't know if I want to give background. It'll frustrate me.
So there was this big, I don't know if it was a Reddit thing or an internet thing or something like that, but there was this big drama that went around when this game came out that
Mm-hmm.
people online were basically saying that the game is bad. The game as a whole is bad. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
this is a bad game because all of the romance options for the male character are either ugly or bad,
Bad.
basically.
Yeah. And this is, by the way, like I couldn't believe I was reading these. I remember at the time reading them and telling Spoon. I said, Spoon, have you seen this? He goes, no, what? Well, people are complaining on all these
They're
different
like,
forums and stuff
it
about
was
what?
probably on like Metacritic, 0 out of
Something like
10.
that.
Romance options are
Romance
bad.
options are
It's like,
bad.
oh,
And I
okay,
debate that,
thanks.
by the way. Iron Bull is the best option. I debate that. Iron Bull is the best option. If you don't know who that is, look it up. Google search Iron Bull Dragon Age, and you will find I am correct. But this was like this was the dumbest thing I'd ever read on a forum, and I've read a lot of stupid things on forums. This was one of the dumbest. Just like reading them, they're like, the romance options are ugly. Can't believe Cassandra really. It's like, okay, well, can you relax? Like, this isn't a big deal, to be honest.
And
This is
and the
like
the one romance option that everyone wanted and thought was actually attractive was gay. The female was gay. So
Sarah,
you
really?
I think
Okay.
so. Basically, as a male, you couldn't romance her because she was gay.
Wait,
So
I don't know. Like, did people think she? Okay, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but like, people thought she was attractive.
I don't remember well
She's
enough.
annoying.
I agree. I
She's
remember her being
annoying.
annoying.
God, I hated her so much in the
Oh
game.
yeah,
I was like actively,
she was bottom tier,
I
in
was
my opinion.
actively making her mad the whole game. I was like, you're terrible, Sarah. Please get out of here. She's like the one that's like, oh man, she's like the one that's got her like secret spy group, and she's like down with the bourgeoisie type of thing. And every time she kept talking to me like that, I almost wanted to say, "Can you just stop talking? Please, anybody else want to talk here for a moment?" She was not good. I like Cassandra a lot. Some of the other party members, I like Cassandra. I think she's
I liked
tough.
Cassandra True. Yeah, she was tough. She's not the most attractive video game character I ever seen, but she wasn't ugly. Like,
She's
come
not
on.
ugly. It's just I don't get this, but she's
It,
tough.
sh
I like
sh
her. I like her character's personality too. I think she's like kind of funny in very unexpected ways. Like when she's reading books and she gets like really embarrassed. It's really funny when she gets embarrassed. It's
yeah.
like it's kind of, which is why I was upset with so many of these forums. Like, oh, Cassandra's ugly. It's like, have you have you gone through enough of the game? Like she's pretty funny. And she's, like I said, I liked her a lot. I liked what's his name, the guy with the crossbow, the dwarf. I kind of liked him. He was from he was involved with like Dragon Age 2 stuff as well. Your party was like, some of them were pretty interesting and fun. Some of them were pretty forgettable. I got to be honest. Blackwall was probably really boring.
I don't. I remember that name now
Exactly.
that you mentioned it, but I didn't remember that character in the
Exactly.
slightest.
Blackwall is the character you go to, and he's super boring. You just go there, you get your pillow out, and you say, "Go ahead, talk to me, sir." And he's really boring.
I think this game in general, it actually kind of mirrors how I feel about a lot of Bethesda's games. And since we're going to talk about Bethesda,
That's true. Yeah.
it it was wide as an ocean, but deep as a kiddie pool.
Yeah. It really isn't deep at all. These
There,
characters are not deep.
it was a big game. It was a very big game. There was a lot to do. There was a lot of space. There was a lot of wide open space. There were like
Mm.
three deserts. There were like three deserts or something like that.
Yeah, that
But
too. Yeah, the environment's terrible.
yeah, man, what is it with BioWare lately? They're like, yeah, we need a big area. Let's just again, Andromeda had like three desert planets, and Inquisition had like two or three deserts too. It's like, can we stop with deserts? It's not an
These
interesting
guys,
environment. Like you can have one desert, it's fine. We
one's
know
fine.
it's a thing in RPGs. You have a desert area, but
Yeah.
three?
Put
I don't know about that one.
You could even make a desert semi-interesting. Put like some oasis in there, some monuments. Talk about that. That like at least adds something, and maybe like have some involvement with that. But yeah, Bioware deserts are not inherently cool. So let's just like maybe stay away from that. Let's pick some other stuff, because like when you want to like explore different dungeons in deserts, like I guess you can like maybe like the monuments, like maybe they'll have like dungeons there. But yeah, they just like, yeah, they added a couple cactuses. So yeah, this is good enough. Move on. Whatever. Who cares? So what else? All right, let's put spoilers up. We have to talk about. Hold on a second.
I mean, let's talk about the general. Um, I don't know what to say. Structure of the game and what
Okay,
the
let's let's
goal
do
of the
that
game
actually.
the game is. I actually
I'm
don't
swapping it up.
remember it that well. You end up being a captain or some sort of commander of this army that ends up being
Yeah,
called
so
the
you're
Inquisition.
so
I don't
you're the
remember how you get
Inquisitor.
the Inquisitor. Yeah,
they
you're the
they they
Inquisitor.
make a point to bring out this book. They're like, the Inquisition exists. You're the Inquisitor. they bring It's like this whole sequence of cutscenes. Like, put a book down. They make a big deal. The music cues up. Liliana's there. She's screaming Maker's Breath with her thing. No, actually, Liliana's fine in this. She's just like so different in this game. But you're the Inquisitor and you're leading. I don't really know how to say this, but you're not a Grey Warden. In fact, like the Grey Wardens aren't really a thing anymore because the Darkspawn are technically gone. here. So the Grey Wardens don't really exist the same way. Well, no, the Darkspawn exists, but there's no need for the Grey Wardens right now. So they have the Inquisition or the Inquisitor because an attack is made against the church, and the previous one of the big church leaders or something, it's the conclave has happened. They've been attacked by something, and your first act is actually to investigate it. Um, you've actually been imprisoned or something at the beginning. They did the whole prisoner thing. You're put into like because you were found at the scene of the crime, the scene of the explosion. You were found there with like no memories of what happened, and and then they like take you in because they think you're a culprit. That's actually the beginning of the game, and so the big church lady, she's killed, and so that's eventually that whole thing resolves. You're exonerated of the crimes there because it's found that you didn't commit them, and and then they make you the Inquisitor. I don't know like, oh, I remember why they made you the Inquisitor, and it's not really a spoiler. You can close rifts. You have the power to close rifts. So all these
That's right.
rifts into demon world, no, into the Fade, I think. They appear and they spawn demons from them. So you can close the demon spawn portals. So there you go. Now you're the Inquisitor. You're now qualified to be Inquisitor. Congratulations. So that's pretty much it for the general theme of it. You're now just like trying to uncover who committed the crime of that, and like about a third of the way, midway through the game, you figure it out, and you're pretty disappointed. You're very disappointed, in fact. So
Yep.
I don't know. Is there? Oh my god, I think that's it.
We gonna hop into spoilers
Yeah,
now.
let's do it. I don't even know what to spoil here. There's nothing really. I
I mean,
there's not
there's
much.
a big event, as you said, midway through the game
Yeah.
where you kind of have this fortress that you're building up, and you have your forces, and you're doing missions from this fortress, and then your fortress gets attacked by the big bad
Hmm.
Corypheus and his army of
Some
demons or
well,
whatever they are.
there's a choice you make. You basically make this choice to help one of two factions, and the faction you don't help becomes Corypheus's slaves to use
Okay.
against you. That's and it's like weird. It's like well, it's like a weird choice. You choose between mages or Templar. The whole big thing, in fact, in this game is that actually it happened in Dragon Age 2. It was like, oh, the mages and the Templar are now fighting. Like it's this big war between them, and they're like it's like the main theme of the game now. And so this war is happening, and Corypheus uses this war, and you help one of the factions, and the other one. So let's say you help mages, the Templar attack you in your base of operations, which is like a I don't know what it is. It's not really like a fort, but it's a little like town almost. It almost looks like a town. It's a very small little place, and you get attacked by the most boring character you'll ever meet, named Corypheus. He's so boring. God, he's boring. He's
I I
he's so uninteresting.
I remember nothing about Corypheus either, other than he is my just stock villain that I just call Doctor Meanbad because he's just
He's
an
so
evil
bad.
guy. I think there was one point where they tried to explain his motivation and like who he was and all that, and I'm like, yeah, that either made no sense or it was just stupid.
Yeah, they're
So
like he was like one of the old Tevinters. He was like one of the old these old like I don't know what a Tevinter was actually. I don't remember, but he was like one of the old ones, and they aspired to sit on the throne of gods. And he's like, oh, the throne's empty. There's no gods here, so I'm gonna storm the throne of the gods and be. It's like, and after a while, you're just like, yeah, can I just fight you? I'm kind of bored now. Let's just fight. He's so boring. He's got like a messed up face, and he you stole a relic from him that he could access this throne into the Fade. Basically, he can't access the Fade properly because you stole the relic from him and took its power. That's why you could close the rifts. So that's why he doesn't like you, and that's why he wants to kill you and steal your power. So
yeah, and he tries to be one of those villains who I remember him showing up a decent bit and like taunting you and stuff like that. He tried to be one of those villains, and it just
it doesn't work.
us, yeah, it just doesn't work. It's like, yeah, this guy's boring. This guy's a crap villain.
Yeah, it doesn't
This is
work.
terrible.
It doesn't work. He's not even threatening. You like outwit him at this fortress. You outwit him and actually defeat him in his army. Even though like you lose the fortress, you technically defeat him. And it's just like, okay, well, I've already defeated you before. I constantly am defeating you. Who cares about you? You basically beat him at every turn. And after a while, it's like, well, why am I scared of you? You're clearly an idiot because I'm constantly outwitting you with the stupidest things too. He's like, "Huh, I've got your base of operations," and you're next to a mountain, and what you do is you turn a trebuchet and shoot the mountain, and cause an avalanche. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't think of that." It's like, what do you mean? You're next to a snowy mountain. That, of course, that has to be a consideration. So he's an idiot too, and he's not threatening. He does taunt you. I remember that. He's bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's
It
bad.
Dragon Age Inquisition came out 2014.
2014 or 15, like 5 years ago, I think would be
Well,
fair.
whatever it was, I think it was 2014.
Something like that.
That game won Game of the Year pretty universally from most of the like video game review sites, magazines, etc. that year.
It's a bad
And that
year.
game wasn't that good. It was just a bad year for games.
It
It
was
was like
it was
it was the
fine.
first year of the new console cycle with the PS4 and the
Right.
Xbox One. Those came out at the end of 2013, so the 2014 was the first full year of the console cycle.
Mm,
And yeah, it did not go well. There were not a lot of good
yeah, not
games
a
that
lot of
came out
stuff.
that year. Like Dragon Age Inquisition was not a bad game, but it has issues. It's not a great game. It is not game of the year
No,
material
it's not.
in on any normal year, I
Right.
would say.
If it came out like a year after, or even like 20 something, the graphics in the game are pretty solid. I will say the graphics are pretty good. You know, they are good graphics, and uh, like I said, some of the characters shine. Again, I'm gonna draw back to Cassandra. She really does shine. She's like the best character. Iron Bull is great too. I was memeing about it before, but now I'm not. He's great. He's great to talk to. He's so much fun. And he actually has some like zen, like good moments where he gives you like advice and clarity. It's it's a good one. So did it have dark choices? No.
I don't remember any meaningful choices. That was past the point. This is the point where EA had kind of taken over BioWare,
Yeah.
and the good dark choices and moral choices you had to make in like DAO, Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 are pretty much gone. We're at
Yeah, they're gone.
This was like the Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda era where the choices are pretty much like they're there, but they're not that meaningful and they don't affect much. And
I don't actually remember a single dark meaningful choice. Something that's like so messed up like again the slave example. I don't remember that at all. The Dragon Age Origins had so many dark moments. This game maybe had one and I just don't remember it. It's not like it doesn't test your ethics or your morality. It it tests my patience whenever Corypheus comes up, that's for sure. And I don't know. I think the game is fine. I'm not burning to play again. Like Origins, I would play it again. I'd do it.
yeah, Inquisition is pretty fun to play. I think the combat is the best it had been
Sure.
in the series, with the exception of the lack of balance and mages being kind of trash. But other than that, I think the combat's pretty fun. There's
Mm,
a lot to do. It's a very, as I said, a very big game,
yeah.
big world. There's a lot of stuff to do. Like you have to close rifts. There's this like war council thing. I don't remember what that was about, but you had this like war council and like war planning thing where you
Yeah.
had to.
You could send like and do these like yeah, you could do like war council quests and you send like scouts or various different things. I'm sure somebody drew it on a whiteboard and it was great. It wasn't in
It's
practice.
it sounded cool in theory, and then there just wasn't much to it, I
Yeah.
think. So generally, the game is fun to play. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of quests. There's a lot of, like many open world games, Assassin's Creed and the
Hmm.
like. There's a bunch of markers on your map that you got to go walk to and close rifts or fight mobs or
Yeah.
discover locations, quests. The like with open world type games. It's a pretty fun game.
Yep.
I'd say it's if you're a Dragon Age fan, I'd say it is worth playing. It's not bad, but it's this is Dragon Age Inquisition is in my opinion is beyond the golden age of BioWare. The golden age of BioWare is Knights of the Old Republic kind of kicked it off, I would say.
Hmm.
And then you've got Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, and Dragon Age Origins. After that,
Yeah, it kind of went downhill from there to a
yeah,
certain. Yeah, I mean, and then Anthem came out. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on all those points. I don't know if I have anything to add on. I think the best part of this game for me was actually talking to Cassandra. I'm not even memeing. Though, like, I had so much fun communicating with her because she was like she was funny in different ways. There's some other crap too that was stupid too in this game. Um, man, I can't remember. Yeah, there's like it's solid though. It's fine for like maybe $15. Sure, why not? Pretty good. So okay, let's take off the spoilers. Let's go to Bethesda. We can move on to Bethesda now.
Bugthesda.
Yeah, where do we start? Do we start? I mean, like, where do we start? I think with this, Bethesda does have a long history. It has this encompassing history. It's got like ZeniMax, Bethesda. It's got like various different entities. I think ZeniMax is actually the umbrella, and Bethesda is like a studio that is a part of ZeniMax. It's there's a lot of stuff with this. Um, so Bethesda's big titles that at least I can think of, and you can correct me on some of these. Uh, it's known for the Elder Scrolls series. It's known for well I guess like recent Fallout games are under Bethesda, though I don't actually know if Fallout 1 or 2 were made by Bethesda. I don't remember actually. I think Bethesda bought
I
a
don't think
studio.
so. I
I think
don't
they like
think so. I think it was made by a different.
yeah, made by somebody else.
I think actually I want to say the first two Fallout games were made by the studio, or at least the precursor studio for the studio that's making what's it called, like Wasteland or Wastelands or
Outer
that series
Worlds
of
or
not
something?
Outer
No,
Worlds, no,
Wastelanders. Okay, Wastelanders. Okay,
Wastelanders or
something like
something
that.
like that.
Okay,
Anyways,
yeah, we're just going through
kind of
some of their
irrelevant.
titles. And they've also like they have id under their umbrella. So Doom is a
Yeah.
series that's being rebooted upon.
Yep. I mean, Bethesda's a publisher now. I don't think they
Yeah,
used to be, but they are a publisher
they're a
now, so
publisher now.
they publish a lot of other stuff like
Trying to think of
Doom
other
as an
stuff.
example.
Yeah, and then the last thing because they got id, Quake was a big thing. But like, oh, Dishonored.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Dishonored.
they public. Did they develop
I
that
don't know if they've
game?
developed it, but
I know they published
Dishonored
it.
is under the umbrella. So the the games that I know of from Bethesda that I think are extremely memorable. I think Skyrim easily. Oblivion also is extremely memorable. I think Oblivion memes are the best memes of any game I think I've ever been a part of. Uh, yeah, Skyrim is good. I kind of like Fallout New Vegas. That was actually that was developed by somebody else, but Bethesda published that obviously. And the most recent Doom, not Doom Eternal, the one that
2016, Doom
2016 Doom.
2016. Yeah,
That was a really fun, great game. Um, those are like memorable ones I've played that I really enjoyed. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna stop there. What about you, Spoon?
I haven't played a lot to be honest. I've found it hard to get into Bethesda games a lot of times. I've started a bunch of them. I started Oblivion. I started Fallout 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have Fallout 4 and never played it. Um, the only Bethesda game that I've finished and played a lot was Skyrim.
Yeah.
Um, I
The,
know people generally like Bethesda games, but honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. I've never really loved their games. Skyrim I did get really into, and it has its merits, but I think it has its
it has
issues too.
problems. So this game got like a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I don't remember, it didn't get a 10 out of 10. This like original release of Skyrim,
Its Metacritic is in the 90s, if not 95. Like,
which which kind of blows my mind to be honest now
yeah.
looking back on it because I can name a couple issues. I'm going to let you name the first one though. I think I know what your first main issue with this and let's not say bugs. Bugs is an obvious one. What's your first main issue with this game? I can kind of guess it.
What do I go to first? I guess I have two main issues with
I
Skyrim.
think I know the first one.
Well, okay, three.
Okay, three.
Just like I said with Inquisition, wide as an ocean, deep as a pond. The main story is a joke,
Masor's horrible.
and three, the combat is also a joke.
So I would debate number one a slight amount. The problem with these games like Fallout 2 is all the lore is hidden, and it's frustrating. If you actually explore it and figure out the little nuggets of stuff, it's really good. The problem is it's all hidden extreme. It's like some cases it's hidden extremely well. In other cases, it's like it's kind of hidden and you wouldn't stumble upon it unless you were just like playing this 200 hours and just randomly came across it. That's the problem. And
Yeah, I guess I'll take that first one back a little bit because there were some quest chains that were pretty
sure,
interesting. Like I
sure.
remember the Assassin's Guild quest was pretty cool. I remember
Yeah,
that one being
the
pretty
black
interesting. But
the yeah, the wow, I can't believe I remember the yeah, the Brotherhood. Um the Dark Brotherhood, I think it was. Yes. God, I can't remember. I forgot that. That's like one of the big ones because that first, I think that was first in as like a quest chain in Oblivion, I believe. I haven't played Morrowind, so I can totally get destroyed if I'm wrong. But the Dark Brotherhood was like one of the most popular things from Oblivion. The quest chain, if you like the quest chain in Skyrim, the Dark Brotherhood one is just as good, if not better, in Oblivion. And there's like some really interesting side stuff. I think the Thieves Guild is fine as well. It's like fine. It's not great. Yeah, but there's like all the lore, all the good stuff is hidden. In Fallout, there's tons of nuggets of information that you can just find randomly. Tons of quirky, weird stuff. And it is cool, but the problem is it's all hidden, which is good for some people who are playing like hundreds of hours. But if you're playing this for like maybe 40 hours, like well, if you're going for the main story, if you play this for 15 hours, you're not going to see it. So it's unfortunate, and I think that is a problem. So you don't have to retract your one, but it's like it's weird that all the nuggets of information are hidden behind this like 200 plus hour wall. Like okay, well,
I I'm curious what you thought I was gonna say as my
story,
one big
easily
story. Yeah,
story,
okay.
easily story. The stories of these games, of Bethesda games, generally speaking, are pretty terrible.
the
Uh,
main plot,
the main
like
plot.
whatever the main plot line. Some of the side stories, as we talked about with the Assassin's Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and I don't remember any others specifically in this game,
Mm,
but I'm sure there are other good ones too.
yeah,
It's just been a while since I haven't played it. Again, I haven't played Skyrim personally. I haven't played it basically since it came out, so that
yeah.
was
It's been a while.
9 or 10 years ago, something like that.
But even
So
then, you know the
it's
main
been a bit.
story. It's slay a dragon. Got it. It's terrible. Civil. Oh yeah, there was the Civil War. The
Man,
Imperials and Thalmar with the
man,
Nords.
I wanted to like that quest chain, but the way the
The way it was
I didn't like
implemented.
how the gameplay worked for it. It was
Yeah,
just it was
yeah.
yeah.
The implementation of it wasn't great, but I think the concept was pretty solid. It is like that's one of those things where it's not a hidden nugget, but it's a good one. It's like, oh well, there's definitely interactions that happen between people where like a Nord will talk to an Imperial. I think there's like one in the Dark Brotherhood where you're overseeing a wedding and an Imperial is talking to a Nord. And the Imperial's like, oh yeah, I'd definitely fight for my homeland if someone was trying to overtake it. And the Nord's like, are you kidding? Your sole purpose here is to take over our homeland and our culture. What a stupid statement. So, like, there's some good stuff there. I will say there's some good stuff. The main stories of the game, not much thought. Really not. But that's the thing is, like, this got a 9.5, and the story is terrible. And
Yeah, the game has way too many issues in my opinion to be a 9.5, but you know,
if you try and do the combat of this game, let's say you play a game a different game's combat style. Let's say you play a combat style like a some other JRPG ones. Even I'm playing
ta-
FF7R remake and
Tales or
Tales,
Kingdom
Kingdom Hearts,
Hearts,
and like
you know.
some of those boss battles and even just like random some certain fights. There's a lot of there are plenty of tactics that you're considering. You've got different magics and all this stuff, and all of it intertwines into a whether it's really good or great or just like at least a thought-provoking combat sequence. And again, East 8 has that too. It's Skyrim's combat is really simple and and it's just I think it's not good. I think it works. I think like for many people it works in its favor, where it's just like bash sword, bash sword, bash sword, or if you're doing magic, just this. There you go. That's not really great. That's not great combat. It certainly doesn't make up for a thought-provoking boss battle. Your boss battles in this game are just this. Yay! I don't know. It's the only
Think
good thing I thought of with the only good thing I thought of with the story, and again, it's not a hidden nugget, but I kind of wish it was explored more. Is Parthenax? I know Tricourage in chat said it. Yeah, Parthenax was a pretty good part of this game because Parthenax has this dilemma, and unfortunately, it's really implemented improperly because it's kind of buggy with it. What a surprise! But Parthenax is a dragon that used to be like with Alduin, and I mean, I guess this is a spoiler, but and then like he like basically gives you a question. He's like, hey, well, hey, what about this? I've done some bad things, but I've also worked hard to become a better, well, in this case, a better dragon. So is that not something worth merit? That my change is possible. Do you not care about that? And like, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting ethical question of like, okay, well, all the evils that he's committed, all the atrocities that he's committed, like, do you just like wipe that away because he's changed as a character? That's the only good thing. That was brought up here. But what?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
go
and
go ahead.
and I will say this: when I first played Skyrim, I loved it, and I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have rated it a 9 or a 9.5,
For
like
sure.
up there. But the more you play it, and the more, well, maybe not the more you play it, but the more you examine it with more of a magnifying glass, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, or just look at the game a little more objectively and be like, okay, I know this is a fun game. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's some cool side stories. You can make yourself really OP by crafting iron daggers a million times.
Yeah.
Um, and it's generally fun, and the music's good.
Well, the music's great.
Dovahkiin,
Music's
and
great.
the dragon shout stuff is really cool. I mean, there is a lot of positives to this game. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to say that it is a bad game. It's certainly not a bad game. I think it's very overrated, though. I
Yeah.
think if you look at this game a little more objectively, you'll see that the combat is very shallow.
Mm-hmm.
The story is not good. The game is buggy as per usual with Bethesda, which kind of just gets overlooked in reviews, I guess.
Right.
Like there's um and yeah, I mean, again, as I said, the game is just kind of really, there's a lot to do, and it's a big world and it's
Mm-hmm.
cool, but I don't think there's a ton of depth to very
Yeah.
much of it, with the exception of the some of the side stories that are pretty good.
Sure.
Um,
And those are all valid. I mean, like the game is still good. The music in this game it's got one of the best scores you'll ever hear. It's great. I don't want to discount that. I don't want to discount that for the time the graphics were good. These are good graphics for 2011, and just the nature of the way that it was. It felt really good to do dragon shouts. Even your Fusro Da was like really great. It's all great. Some of the DLC for this game is pretty good. There's like a vampire DLC that I've played. It's pretty solid. That's like a good one. It's really long, which is great because it gives you more bang for your buck. But I don't know. Every time I think about this game, I think, you know what? This is a good game, but with all its issues, and I don't want to like talk about mods. If your game has to be modded for it to be effective, I don't know what that says about your game. There's a couple quest lines that you basically have to have a mod
I
to
mean,
do them.
it's cool that there is a huge community out there who make mods and make the game better. But yeah, I am judging the game as I played it, which was on a console, so it's
Right,
unmodded.
right.
And it's been a very long time, and I know a lot of mods have come out since then, and the PC version, which allows it to be modded. But
Hmm.
and I'm sure the game is much better modded than it was as Bethesda made it.
Yeah,
But that's one of those things. It's like Bethesda's like, all right, we'll just release a good game but not great game, and we'll just let other people fix it for us.
right. And Tricourage pointed this out in chat, and I am gonna go off on this quest. I've done it before. The Stones of Baron Zaya. is by far one of the worst implemented quests I've ever played in a video game in my life. And I played Olaf in Kingdom Hearts 3. So
Well, that's short, at
that's short.
least.
That's a good thing. The Stones of Baron Zaya are hidden items within the game's environment. Now, normally I'm like, okay, it's cool. It's like it's an expansive fetch quest. The problem is this is Skyrim. This thing is huge. This is a huge map. This isn't just like a couple rooms you're trying to look through. It could be you're like thinking this could be anywhere, and really it's in some of the most random locations. It could be in a random bandit cave. So some genius and saint who should have been hired by Bethesda because that person had a brain to think about this. There's a mod that lets you put the Stones of Baron Zaya on your quest marker so you can see where they are in the world. Thank you. It no longer becomes a beneficial thing to find these hidden items. It becomes a chore, and it's so painful. I tried it too. I think I only got like 10 of them without the quest markers mod. I only got like 10. It's not easy to find these things. They're anywhere. The positions are not random. You can Google them. But give me a break. It's
Does the
so
game give you
frustrating.
any? Does the
No.
game give you
No.
any hints?
Nope. Nothing.
I'm
You
not
can,
talking about quest markers. I'm just like, hey,
no.
there might be one like in this
No.
general vicinity, like or a
No.
riddle. No, it's just like
No.
there's these 25 things. Just go find them.
No.
Thanks.
You're thinking with a brain. Somebody who made that question didn't.
Okay.
The
Because I'm like,
person
that sounds interesting if there were like little hints or like riddles
no.
to maybe figure out where they are.
No.
No, it's just like, go find these things. All right,
No.
cool.
No, it was a smooth brain implementation of a quest line.
Smooth.
um
Um,
but it was bad. So I just want to yeah, it's like they just like just find them. They could
the other thing,
really they could be
the
anywhere.
other thing I'll mention as a potential issue with this game, again, not so much of an issue now that there are updated versions of the game and like better consoles, but man, the load times on this game on the Xbox 360 and the
So
PS3
bad.
were actually
They're
awful.
so bad.
It was
On
so bad.
on PC it's great. The load times are like bam.
I mean,
But
yeah,
it's
that's
PC.
PC though.
In console it's ooh. So there you go.
I remember like 40-second to like minute long load times sometimes in this game.
Are you
It was
going into a
rough.
city? Go make a sandwich because it's gonna take a while. Go make your pizza. It's gonna take a while, man. It's bad. I remember the load times being atrocious. Except PC was fine, but like consoles were horrible. It was horrible. Um, oh, I want to mention one more thing. This game was released on so many different devices and consoles and things like that. I think Bethesda just like said, "How many devices do you think we could release this
No,
on?"
this
They
was the
just started
Bethesda.
going.
This is the Bethesda business strategy. It's, do we need to spend money to make a new game?
No.
No. Anytime a new console or device comes out, we'll just re-release Skyrim on it, and everyone will buy it again.
It's so it's kind of annoying how many different devices Skyrim is on now. It's on Switch. It's on Switch. It's on
I'm
PC.
sure
It's on
Skyrim will be on Xbox Series X and PS5 when it comes out. By the way, I'm getting a little feedback from you,
Oh
Otto. I'm
really?
hearing my own voice.
Oh whoops, sorry about that. It's the headset. I used the headset today. I mean I can switch off of it. I don't care. I'll switch off of
It,
it
it was
actually.
it was fine until 2 seconds, like
Oh okay.
literally 30 seconds ago. I don't
Is
know
it
what
still?
you
Are you
did.
still getting feedback?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
good.
No, now we're good.
What? Awesome, awesome production value, folks. I don't know. There's nothing. I don't want to talk about Skyrim anymore. Actually, I don't know if you have anything else to say. I just want to make sure you've gotten all your got cleared the air of everything with Skyrim.
Nope, I've said what I wanted to say about it. I
Okay,
again, I
perfect.
I, I think generally it is actually a good game, even though I
Right.
like to crap on it. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it's horribly overrated.
Right. Okay then. So let's talk about. I don't know. You don't really know the Fallout series too well, so I don't want to
I
talk
played
about it
them a
too.
little. I've
Play
played
a
them
little
a
bit.
little bit, but
I'll
not too
just
much.
I'll just say about the Fallout series, it kind of has a lot of similar issues in my mind with the Elder Scrolls well, Skyrim in particular. Fallout is a really expansive game and it's got great lore, but it's all hidden. The main stories are terrible, terrible main stories. It's so bad, and then they try in every single time with Fallout, every time in the 3 and in 4, they're just like we're gonna make this nuclear level spoiler. And it's like this is the spoilers. I better put spoilers up. Actually, I'm kind of concerned that people would be worried about this, but you shouldn't be. The spoiler in Fallout 4 is you were iced. You were put on ice, and you've been on ice for like for a couple hundred years, for 200 years. It's like the big thing in this, and it turns out that the point of this is you're trying to find your son, Sean or something, whatever. Um, it turns out good old Sean has actually been off ice and is like the leader of this faction that kidnaps people. He's actually the leader of it. So your son is the leader of the big bad faction. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know what it is, but like Bethesda tries to like put these bombshell, like again nuclear level, like oh it's gonna blow your mind
Wasn't
spoilers,
there something
and
with
somehow
your
they
dad?
fail.
Wasn't there something with your dad in Fallout 3 too?
Yeah, in
Because you're
Fallout
looking for
3,
your
you
dad the
thought
whole time in
you're like,
Fallout 3.
yeah, you're following your dad around, and there's something you end up figuring out he's alive, and he's trying to purify the water. Still, he's trying to purify the water of DC, of the DC area, um, and that's like the big thing there. But it's not even a spoiler. It's like every time they do this with Fallout, they're just like, we're gonna blow your minds with this one, folks. Your son is actually part of the institute, and he's their leader. It's like, okay, thanks. This isn't a big deal, Bethesda. I don't know why, but they think it's a huge bombshell thing, and I'm like, it's not. It's fine. I don't know if I expected it, but it's fine. But it's not like the biggest thing in the world. It's just like they treat it this way, and but the general story, everything else, like there's some factions and stuff. It's kind of not much to it. The all Fallout really has is the great like under the rug lore. Here's a good one. I'm gonna give one example. So in Fallout like 1 or 2, I forgot which one. There's a whole video on this somewhere. I'll have to find it. There's this food. It's called iguana bits. Okay, so iguana bits is a food in this game, and it's a you think it's iguana on a stick. You think it is. So you go through this whole quest line trying to figure out what's the deal with iguana bits, what's going on. You start walking through it. The big conclusion is you eventually get to the conclusion that iguana bits is actually people. Somebody is cutting up people, cooking the meat, and putting it on a stick. And you can even see the difference. There's iguana on a stick, and then there's iguana bits. You even see the side to side comparison. One of them has a literal iguana on it, the other is cut up human meat. There's a quest line for this. And the ending part of the quest line is you can actually decide to do a couple different things. One, you can just like shut down that stand and everything that's involved with iguana bits. And the other stuff is you can just say, I'm not going to say anything. Go ahead. But give me like 10% of whatever you make, or like give me a bunch of caps. So it's got a pretty interesting like ethical thing. There's a couple of like under the rug moments with that. I think Fallout does do something similar, but in very small doses, which is good when you actually go into it. And it's cool to think about, okay, well, you're playing Fallout 4 and you see iguana bits. Are you eating human flesh again? Or is it different? Is something different? There's like good stuff like that. But you know, the question is, are you the person that's playing 100 hours of this game to figure that out? I think in Fallout 1 or 2 it was much faster to deduce that and figure that out, so it's kind of in its benefit. But there's a couple other parts of like Fallout 4, for example, like you can't navigate that whole map in 40 hours. I don't know if you just can't. So you're playing this game for hundreds of hours to navigate it, and I don't. That's not the intention of this type of game, to get the full experience. So it's tough to say, okay, well, I played it for 30 hours and beat the main story. I have this opinion of the game. Somebody else could say, well, I played 300 hours and I think I got the full experience and I think it's good for the lore, for story, for lore, for these reasons. I mean, it's tough to say, but for me, you can't. I don't know if you can expect somebody to die 500 plus hours in a game. So the person that plays through your main story, are they getting enough content and extra lore and main story? The how provocative is the main story? And it's for Fallout 3, 4, it's not very good. For New Vegas, on the other hand, it's an extremely provocative ethical dilemma that you have to deal with, and that's way better. And it's because Bethesda didn't really develop it at all. Somebody else developed it for them, and that person, I think it was Obsidian. Obsidian developed it. They did a way better job. I wish that Obsidian would constantly develop Fallout games. So
Well,
that's my two cents.
now they're their own thing and they're owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, there's
And they made our Outer
yeah,
Worlds.
and Outer
So
Worlds is pretty. It's a solid game. It's definitely it's not all the way where I want it. It's like New Vegas levels, but it's pretty darn close. Almost said something else. So I think can we I don't know. Did you have anything else about Fallout? I don't want to cut you
yeah,
off on this one.
I don't have too much to say
Okay,
about it because I've not beaten any of the games. I
sure,
played Fallout 3 a little bit. That game got hyped up pretty hard when it came out, and
it did.
I jumped on the hype train and I played it some. I don't remember how far I got. Not that far in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
main story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a few things that I don't like, and I feel like all I'm talking about is stuff I don't like today. But again, generally these games they're solid, but I again think that most of the games we're talking about are just overhyped.
Yeah, they are.
I just don't think they're as good as people make them out to be.
Really,
Um,
I think that's true. I would agree. I don't know what
I
it is, but
I find the I know it's a post-apocalyptic world, and that's just how it is, but man, there is no color in this game. It's so washed out,
yeah,
and
I'm.
so again, I know it's just kind of on the setting, and that's how it is, but man, I like my bright colors in JRPGs and my cool special effects and that kind of stuff. And that same goes for even like Elder Scrolls is a little better because it's high fantasy and there's magic and there's cool stuff, but
Right.
it still doesn't. It's still not exactly what I want.
Sure.
Um,
Uh,
um,
yeah, I'm with you there.
Two, I found the shooting, at least in Fallout 3, very clunky.
It
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 was super hard to shoot. Like I felt like I couldn't do anything unless I used the VATS.
yes. So this is that's like a general thing. I think like the yeah the gunplay in these games is just it's not Destiny. Let's just say that it's not Halo. It's not Halo. It's definitely not Halo. I wish they would focus a bit on gunplay just like a tiny bit more
I
because
mean,
you're
they want you to have to use VATS in some cases. So if they made it too tight, then it's like then you don't need to use VATS ever. So I see a bit for making it like kind of clunky, but not the way it is.
yeah
It's too
yeah. It's just like I don't know. Make it a bit more like Halo or something, please. I'll
yeah.
still use VATS. I promise. I promise you, Bethesda. I'll still use VATS. But just add a little bit of extra to the gunplay. Okay. We.
Um, few other things. I have a
Oh
few
no. Go
other
ahead. Go
things
ahead. Go ahead.
to
Please. Please.
say
Please.
to say about Fallout. The and actually this goes for Elder Scrolls and open world games in general. Man, I hate level scaling. I hate it so much.
Yeah. Level scaling in Oblivion is horrible actually. But keep going.
When you level up, all the enemies scale to your level. You never feel powerful ever.
Not until like the very end of the game. Like
Till
it
maybe
really is the very end
the very end of the game.
when
So
you finish
I
the build basically.
I I hate going back to the first area and fighting, the dogs or the rats or whatever the heck you're fighting there, and they're still like kicking your butt and you're level 20, and you're like, why? Why are these? It just makes no sense, and
Or
it's annoying.
they just change the enemies. They're like, okay, we swapped out the rat for like a tank. I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say. It's like they
So
just swap it out.
I hate level scaling. I think it's stupid. It makes you when you get to the point where you should feel powerful, it makes you not feel powerful because all the enemies are just scaled
Sure.
to your level.
Yeah,
It
sure.
makes sense for why they do it. It's an open world game. They want you to be able to go anywhere, anytime. So it's like, okay, you can do any quest at any time, basically.
Right.
So it makes sense why they do it. I just don't like it. I
Mm,
just don't. You know,
sure.
there are some I think there are some ways they could once you've like visited an area and maybe completed a certain quest in a certain area, they could like lock the level of that area to like the level that you completed that quest at so that you could go back and just decimate stuff later. I don't
Mm.
know. That's just me. It's a suggestion.
No. I'm with you. The level scaling in Oblivion actually caused me to like rage quit one time because I was like, why are these enemies like so much stronger now? I feel like Oblivion actually will punish you heavily if you don't do a good. If you try and like mess up your build and meme, it punishes you. You can't do it. You Oblivion has to be taken seriously. I've tried memeing in that game before. It doesn't work. You can
And I
meme in Skyrim. You can meme in Skyrim.
and I also remember when I was playing Fallout 3 just being very unsure on my level ups on like what was good and what wasn't. It seems like you could box yourself into a pretty crappy
Sure.
build pretty easily in Fallout. And I'm like, well, I want to use guns, but I'm not going to have any guns early in the game because,
Right.
it's kind of a survival scrap for resources type of game. And, like, yeah, I don't know what they can do about that. But again, I just found it annoying. I don't know. I'm kind of nitpicking now. I just didn't get that into the game. I don't know if it was the setting, the story. I found the combat kind of clunky.
hmm There's
Yeah, that's
there's
me.
there's fact.
Again,
Well,
we've talked about this before. I'm a JRPG guy. I love JRPGs. Western RPGs just don't always do it for me. Some of them do. I love Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 1, to be
right.
honest. Mass Effect 1 has its issues, but it's still good. Um, I think part of it is the main story. Like JRPGs tend to have better main stories, and Western RPGs go more on the
They go more on
open
other stuff.
the open world
Yeah.
aspect and the side quests and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But
They go for massive amounts of icons on maps.
mhm,
Actually, I don't know what it is. A couple of the ones I've played recently are just like, let's put more icons on the maps. Let's make them just like
yeah.
run around getting icons. Okay, we have to talk about Fallout 76. This will cheer us up.
I mean, we're going to talk about just recent Bethesda in
Yeah,
general,
okay.
along with
Recent
yeah.
Bethesda. So recent Bethesda has released a couple of games. I'm gonna name one good one that came out, and it was a mobile game though. Fallout Shelter. It is on Steam, so I don't want to discount it. But this was originally a mobile game. This was a good game. It was you build like a you build in a bunker basically. Okay, so that was pretty good. But it's a mobile game. Okay, now I'm gonna name a couple other games that Bethesda has recently decided to make. Elder Scrolls Blades.
Also a
Okay,
mobile game.
also a mobile game. It's on the Switch now. I have it on Switch, so I don't. I want to make sure that's clear. I've played this game. Some reviewers gave it like a 3 out of 10. I would disagree. I think it's more like a 4 or 5 out of 10, but there's not much difference. Blades is a you can build a little town. You go on extremely linear dungeon crawls. This is a great game to go to bed to because it puts you to sleep. There you go. I just gave you a nice little help there. In case you have trouble sleeping, play this game right before bed. You can tuck yourself right in. Um, Fallout 76. This is Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped another one, but this is a comical game. But the other game they made Elder Scrolls Legends is a card game that nobody heard about because Bethesda did an awful job promoting it. There you go. You're welcome, Bethesda.
I mean, they just kind of jumped on the card game train after
Yep.
Hearthstone and was out. They decided to make their own card game, and yeah, I agree. They didn't promote it well at all. I feel
They
like no one heard
every
about it.
time it came up at E3, I would look at the crowd, and this is what the crowd would do. Like, what is this game?
What
What's
is
that?
that?
What is that? What is this? Elder Scrolls Legends? What is that? So yeah, they did a really poor job promoting it. They tried to get into the esports side of it, didn't work, and but the card game was good. A lot of people liked the card game, so I don't want to discount that. There were people that liked that card game. I do think it was an interesting card game. I won't go into detail on some of their design decisions when they kept putting sets out, but there were a couple designs that people didn't like and a couple of sets that people really hated, and there's a couple sets that ruined the fun of the game. So Elder Scrolls Legends was an okay game, but Bethesda I think pushed that one a little bit too hard. So that's Legends, and then again Fallout 76. So Fallout 76 is it's I don't know what to say. It's a survival RPG.
Multiplayer.
Thank you. It's a multiplayer survival RPG. Um,
Bethesda decided that they're like, you know what people really want out of Fallout? You know what people are dying to have in their single player open world post apocalyptic RPG? they want multiplayer. They want Destiny out of Fallout. That's what people really want.
I I think there's a universe where having a multiplayer with like a Fallout survival game is fine, but that universe was like 5 years ago. So I think this was a game that was released 5 years too late. And additionally,
Also, literally nobody. I don't know of a Fallout fan who was like, "Yeah, I really want a multiplayer Fallout game."
not yeah, I mean it's not
Maybe a multiplayer component to a Fallout game, fine. But an
co-op.
entire game that is only multiplayer and is, the Destiny version,
Sure.
persistent world, that kind of, I forget what you want to call it, but like MMO
Yeah,
Fallout, basically.
I might have been okay with that, or and like a co-op. I'm cool with co-op with some of these games. Co-op would be fine. Here's the thing. Like I said, it was made 5 years too late. They decided to take the same engine and code base. I want to be clear. It was the same code base as Fallout 4, and there are many instances to prove that. People have proved that this game and Fallout 4 had the same line of bugs when they released.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing stuff about that. There was a bug that someone replicated, like, you know, exactly in
Right.
76, that was still persistent in
And
Fallout 4, that people had like asked them to fix in Fallout 4, and they just never fixed it, and it was still there
and it
in
was in
76.
76. And there's another thing. Again, this is why you don't replicate a single player code base for your multiplayer experience. This single player code base, this game, this engine, it's built for single player and you can mod it and you can do all these things. And modding it is great in single player. Modding a multiplayer, having a mod infrastructure on a multiplayer game is a horrible thing. So when you took the exact code base that was able to be modded, well, guess what? People are going to mess with it and people are going to figure out how to cheat really easily because this code base is well known at this point and it's easily intruded on. And it's happened so many times. It's just like the cheaters are so prevalent in Fallout 76 and they can't do anything about it because they took the same code base essentially. And you're just it's a baffling choice. And they were thinking, they even talked about this. Oh, this is a huge project. Was it a huge project? Really? Was it a
No,
huge project? Because you just copied. You did almost like a copy and paste job and like tried to put an overlay that was multiplayer on top of it. This is a poop sandwich. This is a poop sandwich. And I just can't fathom or understand why you would say, okay, well, this is a highly moddable game, so having a multiplayer on top of it's a great idea.
I'm
It's
not sure it's even a poop sandwich. That implies there's something good about it. That,
there's
like, you
bread.
get the
Yeah,
bread
there's
at
some bread at
least. I
least.
think this is just poop.
I think this is just poop on poop on poop. It's just bad. It's just like baffling decisions beforehand. One of the other things I want to highlight some things about this game. I have read so much news about this game, so I want to be clear on all of it, and I want to hear Spoon's reaction to all of it. He's heard some of this. One of the biggest things when Fallout 76 was released, this was a buggy mess. The sunlight doesn't make sense in the game. It really doesn't. The sun goes through objects and through land itself.
Light does not work
Like
like that.
light doesn't work that late. It was extremely buggy. The enemies would like sometimes do this like T pose and run around like this. Um,
Good old T pose.
yeah, they just do that. One of the big things though, this isn't a bug, is a couple things happened before this game released. Uh, Bethesda folks, Pete Hines actually was the one that said this. Good old Pete. He said there would be no microtransactions.
Yeah, he sure did.
He also said there would be no pay to win microtransactions. There were multiple cases where pay to win mechanics were added to this game after the fact. There was like this like repair kit or like this like kit that was added that was a microtransaction that did actually create some pay to win mechanics in the game. There was a set of skins that was only out for like a week and it had pay to win mechanics on top of the skins. It would increase the stats for your party. So PvP would be easier for your party with all these skins. And another big thing that people wanted in this game was private servers, which, by the way, should have been released right away. Private servers for a game like this is almost paramount because you want to basically get out all the cheaters. Okay,
You want
so
to just play with your friends and nobody
exactly,
else.
And that I would have supported and said, okay, if this game released with private servers, it might have been redeemable in some tiny baby sense. Okay? They did release private servers. They also charged you a subscription fee on top of it. They had the audacity to put an MMO subscription fee on top of that called Fallout First. And Pete Hines, in like several interviews, said like, "Oh yeah, no, this will be fine." What an idiot! What an idiotic thing to say! What an idiotic thought process! What a jerk to think that this was the correct thing to do. It is a complete absence of of any kind of courtesy to the people that are playing your game. All five of them do not appreciate this thing on top of it. I mean, there are people that do get Fallout First for the private servers. Okay, fine. If you want to pay for that, sure thing. I'd love to flush $100 down a toilet too, but you have to understand that when you start paying for those things, you allow like people like Bethesda to go, oh well, it works, so let's keep doing that stuff. It's garbage. You can't. You just can't. I'm kind of ranting on this, but you can't support these kinds of things. And this game has had a track record of just slapping its consumers in the face constantly, and they keep coming back. And I'm so confused with this game. This is a confusing game for me.
Yeah, I this goes into Fallout 76 in general, but to me, Bethesda is completely off the deep end right now. They made a couple of big hits in Fallout, like Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and like I guess Doom was pretty good, but
Doom was a good one, but
they didn't develop
they
that
didn't
game.
develop it. It
They
felt
just
like
published
it
it.
felt like their grimy little hands weren't on it.
And I've heard good things about Dishonored as well. But again, they didn't develop that game. They just published it. Um, Bethesda made a couple of big hits, and they've just gone off the deep end since. They mostly just they'll publish good games that other developers actually make.
Mm-hmm.
They'll re-release Skyrim for the 73rd time
Yep.
and
This
profit
is
off that again
yep.
because people keep buying it. And then they release dog doo doo like Fallout 76
Yep.
that had Fallout 76 on release. Apparently it has them now, but it took them over a year, maybe a year and a half to release this.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have NPCs in the
Oh
game.
yeah, that's right.
There were no NPCs, no quest givers. It I don't even know what you did in the game. I
You
haven't played it and I never
you
will.
I'm pretty sure you got your quests from a computer and like different voice tapes,
Oh
which is
yeah, that's right.
laughable.
There was a computer and voice takes, but there were no characters that
Yes, that's
other
correct.
than the other players.
Yep. There was like a DLC that came out actually recently within the last like couple months. That was called the Wastelanders DLC. It added NPCs. It was a free update to my understanding.
The big draw in this game in the multiplayer was apparently an absolute joke. Like there was PvP that I don't remember how it works, but apparently it's totally broken
There's a
and
battle
stupid.
royale.
Oh, well, now there is, not when it
Yep.
came out though.
There's a battle royale now.
Yeah, they added a battle royale mode because why not cash in? And yeah, they said there was going to be all these videos were like, there's this big meme of Todd Howard going, it just works, and just like video of Fallout 76, and
Right.
just nothing works. It's
Yeah.
just a buggy nightmare.
It's
Um,
yeah. It's
no
rough.
NPCs. Another big thing that people complained about, at least I saw some people complain about, there's no FOV slider, which is a big thing in shooters,
Frame of
and like
really?
PC field of view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feels.
FOV. Yeah.
Why is there? Why though?
Maybe there is now, but again, when it came out, it didn't. I'm talking about the release version.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Okay.
with
Okay.
the
Okay.
new DLC called Wastelanders, it's actually decent now. But again, it took them a year and a half. They added microtrans. Yeah, they said there were going to be no microtransactions. They added microtransactions like not that long after the game came out. I don't remember how
Yeah.
long. And the microtransactions are either pay to win or there's like, there's the classic Angry Joe meme of like, blue, it's blue, and it's like $8 for blue, like a
Yeah.
blue
Yeah.
skin.
No, I
It's
remember
like,
this stuff. It's garbage. It's complete garbage. This game, I'm sorry, like I had to rant about it. I'm gonna have to continue. This game is this is like a byproduct of a rushed. It seemed like a rushed release. Somebody put a deadline on it and decided, nope, doesn't matter what it's at. Let's release it anyway. Arrogance. I think some arrogance was involved with this.
yeah,
Some people thought, well, if we just re-release it like from Fallout 4, it'll be the same fun experience for everybody. So there's definitely some arrogance involved, and there's definitely stupidity involved. Usually, arrogance and stupidity are hand in hand in a lot of these cases.
there. as I
But
said, I think Bethesda, Todd Howard included, are just they have completely lost touch with their consumer base, just like many
mhm,
wealthy, greedy companies, and they're just like they only care about making money now.
right,
They don't care about making a good game. And they're like, all right, we can't spend more time on this because we've already spent too much money on it. So let's just release it as a buggy mess.
right.
People will buy it because it's called Fallout. And you remember there I remember so many videos of the game coming out, and I remember this one specific video where some dude goes back into a game goes into a GameStop and is like, "Hey, I want to return Fallout 76. It's crap. It doesn't work. It's a bad game." And the guy's like, "Yeah, we don't do returns. You opened it. You already opened it and played it, obviously. So yeah, you can't return that."
I
And
remember
the
this.
guy just like baby rages, like knocks over like three
Yep.
shelves and like all this stuff, leaves
Yes.
the store, and then the phone rings and the GameStop employee goes, "Thank you for calling GameStop. How can I help
Yeah.
you?"
He's just like, yeah, this is a normal Friday for me after Fallout 76 released. Like,
Uh,
I just like I can't picture a universe where this game will ever go anywhere else now. I think that Wastelanders expansion probably is the last. They had like a couple other ones too. They had a couple other expansions, but who cares? I just like that's all I can think of. Anytime I like I've looked at Fallout stuff and I've sort of like talked about it, like, hey, look, Fallout 76 got an expansion. Every time I think about it, I'm like, who cares? Who cares? It's like no,
I mean,
it's just
all, all
it's
like all I can say is like I know there are people who are just big Fallout fanboys and they'll play
sure,
anything, or they're big Bethesda fanboys and they'll play anything.
sure.
But for me, if you want companies to make good games, basically, you can't support this.
No, you can't.
You you can, if you bought Fallout 76 and you like it and you want to keep playing it, fine, but don't buy their microtransactions, don't pay for the subscription service, don't buy the DLC. Like you can't support Bethesda for making a crap game, basically. If you want them to make better games, just don't spend your money on their crap games.
Right. Just that's the way they understand it, and it's true.
That money is the only language that talks to them. They don't care how many people call them names or tell them that they're bad or that the game is
Hmm.
bad or that they hate Bethesda. They don't care. Money is the only thing that talks. And
Right.
this goes for EA, Bethesda. I mean, most of these companies, honestly, but the big publishers, they're mostly the ones I'm talking about who flood their games with micro just kind of release bad games or just the
Right.
same game the same with like with sports games, they just release the same game over and over and over again
Gosh,
with like
sports
a
games are
roster
boring.
update. And
Yeah.
like sports games is another thing that maybe we'll talk about someday, but
We're not going to talk about the sport, the actual game itself, and those. I don't think we'll
yeah,
talk about that at all. Those are basically casinos.
because I remember a day when sports games were actually like fun and there was actually content in the games.
Yeah.
And
They
yeah,
they they strip away all the content now
yeah.
for
So
casinos.
and it's the same thing for me with 76 and Anthem and games like this where they're like, yeah, let's just release this, let's put a bunch of microtransactions and hope we make a bunch of money. And you just have to talk with your wallet. If you don't like it, just don't buy it.
Right.
And that's, again, thankfully for me, I'm not a big Fallout fan. I didn't buy 76 and I never will, but I will never support a game like Fallout 76.
Sure.
And again, if you buy the game and you don't, I mean, if you like it, you like it, and sure, go ahead and, you know, I can't tell you how to spend your money, but most of us out here don't like Fallout 76, and we don't want them to keep making games like this, so don't spend your money on it.
Right.
Because if you show them with your wallet that this is acceptable, then this is what they're gonna do. They're just gonna release another buggy crap game and make money on it.
Mm.
So there
It's
you go. There's
no no
my
no
rant.
no no no. Everything is 100% relevant there. And if you don't agree with what you're saying, I don't know what to say. Like it's I'm sorry. I don't know what to say with if you're thinking that's not an appropriate statement. And like if you like Fallout 76, that's fine. All the power to you. I'll appreciate you still, and I'll still say okay, sounds good. You're having fun, probably with a couple other people, but you know, if you're also getting the subscription and all that other stuff, I gotta wonder what else you're doing. If you're just playing Fallout 76 and that's it, okay, maybe spending all that money might be okay. But I don't know. For me, with all that stuff, I'm like, what would I rather do? Play like buy all that stuff. That's $150 plus of stuff for the game. That's like a super collector's edition of a game. And usually those come with like statues and stuff and all this like art books. And I'm
God, that
thinking,
reminds me the collector's edition for 76 was a joke too.
oh yeah,
Remember you were supposed to get
the
this like
bag.
tote there was the
There was a
wasn't
helmet
there
that
was
got
some
moldy that had health
there was
issues.
the helmet, there was something with like an alcohol, like a crappy
Yeah, the
alcohol or
bottle, the
something like
alcohol
that.
bottle.
The bottle that was just like some garbage, and then you're supposed to get this like hemp bag and it ended up being like nylon or some really crap material
Some
basically that
crappy.
like
Something if you handed to a child as a birthday gift, they'd start crying and ask you to return it. I
it just
imagine.
this again, this game just screams corporate greed and cutting corners. It's just like
Yeah.
they didn't want to spend any money on this game. They, as Otto said, they like reused the code from Fallout 4. They put out a game that really nobody asked for with it being multiplayer. It lacked features. It was buggy as crap. And then they release a ton of microtransactions and a subscription service down the line with pay to win mechanics and just ugh god.
It's the just to be clear about the alcohol thing. There was supposed to be like this Nuka Cola alcohol that came out, and it was supposed to actually be a bottle, and it looked pretty cool when you saw it. And some other third party group was making it. And it turns out that it was a plastic shell outside the bottle. Not only that, I saw some people reviewing it on YouTube. A couple like big channels. I don't remember them, so don't ask if what they are. A couple of big channels that actually review different types of alcohols and things like that. They drank it and they're like, "This is terrible. This drink is actually just terrible too."
The the other thing is I definitely heard basically all the new gaming news YouTubers just like went in on this game when it came out and
Yep.
anytime they did anything with it. So there's tons of news to be said about the stuff we're
Right.
talking about. The other thing is in I think it was Australia, they have pretty um, stringent consumer protection laws there
Yeah,
as
they
opposed
do.
to here in the United States.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure there was a certain period of time where if you asked for a refund for 76, Bethesda didn't give it to you, but then the Australian government said, "No, you have to give them your refund because this game was like falsely advertised and it just didn't work."
Right.
So you have to give people a refund if they ask for it because it didn't work. And again, we don't have that in the United States. We really have nothing in the way of consumer protection laws, which I think is a mistake, but that's
The,
another topic.
it was like something involving where like there were a couple things that happened, and like Bethesda got in trouble too with like accidentally leaking personal information as well, like kind of important personal information from like through the support ticket system.
Mm,
It's just like anytime I think of Fallout 76, I can't even think of dumpster fire. It's worse. It's a plane crash into the dumpster fire.
oof, oof,
That's it's horrible. It's all different. Anything you can think of as bad, it just gets worse and worse. And
yeah.
then they release this stuff. It's like, oh no, we this is great. This is good for you guys. Fall first is good for you guys. Like, no, it isn't. Stop.
And
Don't
then
lie to
they
me.
like after the game came out, I don't remember how long after it was. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I think, as I said, I think Bethesda's off the deep end. Like they're off the deep end at this point. They're just full Activision slash EA corporate greed mode at this point. So I'm gonna have trouble supporting them in the future in general. But what I was gonna say is that I don't remember when. Some point after the game came out, I think IGN had a sit down with Todd Howard. They had like candid talk with Todd Howard segment about Fallout 76, and it was anything but. It was more just like PR talk BS, and it was like, what else am I expecting? Like to him to actually be honest and say like, oh yeah, and honestly, all people want from these companies sometimes is them to say like, hey guys, sorry, we know we messed up, we know we released a bad game, we'll fix it, maybe we'll give you some free stuff, we'll help you out a little bit. But no, they can't even say sorry.
It's
They just
weird.
give you this PR talk nonsense. It's
It's
like, how can I like you and support you and not think you're the embodiment of corporate greed when all you do is PR talk and you can't even say a simple "I'm sorry we released a crappy game."
it's yeah, I'm just gonna say that it's weird. It is like a weird thing that with some of these guys, Bethesda also has this issue because there was like another like Pete Hines interview, and the same thing happens. It's like they don't really know that they do something wrong sometimes, and you're just like, hey, look, like you know how it's okay to be like we messed up. So I don't know. It's
Yeah,
weird.
that's really all I want from these companies sometimes is them to just say like, "I'm sorry. We know the game is bad and we know you guys don't like it and you're disappointed. We'll do our best to fix it, or you can
Um,
count on us next time," or like say something, not just like then they say BS like, "We're sorry it didn't live up to your expectations," or "You didn't get the experience you,"
yeah,
like they put the
that's what they
onus on
do.
the consumer. They're like, "You didn't get the experience you wanted." It's like, no, you made a crap game. That's what happened. Like,
Yeah, it's
Jesus.
usually the onus is put on you. It's like, oh no, you didn't like it, so it's your fault. Like, really, is it? Anyway, okay. I just realized we're pretty close to time here.
Yeah, we are.
So let's just wrap things up there. I mean, like Bethesda's, there's a lot of other games. I do like the Doom 2016. I mean, I can't discredit that. Some of the other games, but
They
yeah,
didn't develop. They didn't develop that
but they
game
didn't
though.
develop
They
that
just
game.
they
Yeah,
just
they
published it.
just published it.
And
So
again, at least from what I've seen, that game seems like they were pretty hands off with it. It was
right,
just developed by id Software, right? That's the
sure,
studio. And then
okay,
I mean there was some drama with Doom Eternal that we don't have time to get into with Mick Jagger. Was that he's the composer, right?
yep,
There was some drama with that. We don't have
yep.
time to get into it, but Bethesda screwed the pooch again on
They
that
I
one.
don't know how they
So
did too. It's
there you
amazing.
go.
Anyway, okay, let's wrap things up. Uh, this was um, this was our episode 14. Everybody, thanks for stopping by for sure. We're still continuing our marathon here. Up next, we are going to have the Rainbow Six crew, the full auto crew here. You're going to see on stream Vis and Hectic. They're the ones that are going to actually be streaming. So that'll come up in, I would say, about 5 to 10 minutes. We kind of have to like transition everything and get their stream up and running.